The frontman for a Southern rock band joins us on the Music Universe podcast.
Hey, buddy, how are ya?
I'm good, my friend. How are you?
I'm great. It feels like forever since we've sat down to do this. It won't feel like forever to our listeners, but I just completed a move and just needed to do that.
I guess it's finally over and you're settled in?
Well, I'm settled in, but it's like, oh, I need that. Oh, I need that. Oh, I need that. Oh, where'd my money go?
Yeah, that's the quickest one you'll realize you lost.
Yeah. I need this for my kitchen. I need that for my dining room. I need that for my living room. I need that for my studio. I need that for the bedroom. What? And then I look at my bank account and it's no, you don't.
Right?
Right. So I'm doing good. Blackstone Cherry today, and you did this one by yourself. Tell me about it.
Yeah, it's Halloween week. The album is out today. It's called The Human Condition, and it was recorded right before COVID hit, and I believe they did some finishing up, during it because they were isolated and stuff. But, we got frontman Chris Robertson with us. He's vocalist and guitarist. We talk about the process of the album. In fact, he was picking up his son from school whenever I called him. So he kind of did this from the vehicle, but we talk about everything, including the influence Eddie Van Halen had on him. You and I haven't recorded an intro or outro since Eddie passed. And, we thought about discussing it more, but I thought, I'm interviewing a guitarist. Let's get his thoughts. So you get to hear that at the end of the interview. So it's pretty heartfelt.
That is great. It seems like we should not waste any time, and let's get right to it.
Welcome to the Music Universe podcast. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, man. The weather's decent here at home, and things could always be worse. I know the world's in a very unflattering state right now, but things could always be much worse.
Yeah. Now, is home Kentucky?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And right before we got on, you're actually picking up your kids. So does that, I know they're back in school and you were just kind of telling me how that process goes with them, but does that make you nervous at all that they're attending in person when this thing is still, as fall hits, could ramp it?
It does. And ultimately it came down to, we sat down and had a long discussion with our son about the risk and everything, and how he would have to, listen to all guidelines and rules at school if he went. And it ultimately came down to him wanting the interaction of his, people his age. It's me, him, and his mom, and she's a nurse. So, she's been working the entire time regardless. I'm not allowed to work anywhere. So, we're making do with what we can in every situation, with the best of every situation, but it's not been the easiest. But I mean, man, letting him go to school, and I got to say that the school district has been very good about everything. There was one case that came up with a faculty member's family, and they shut the school down. The school they went to online learning immediately, and the week following the week they went to online was fall break, so there was a 2-week, 14-day quarantine. And they monitor the number of cases in the county daily. They're doing everything the best they can, man, to provide some kind of normalcy for these kids. And I really hate it, man, for like the seniors and stuff that they've worked their whole lives for senior year, thus far anyways, to what they know of life so far. They've worked for senior year, and now it's, the kids from last year didn't even get to finish theirs. These are, having to do it through, uncertain circumstances. It's just, it's a weird time in the world, man, for everybody, really.
Yeah, and I think that normalcy is something we're all trying to get back to. It's definitely necessary, and especially with these kids. But you said that you're not allowed to work, and that's what's sad because whoever thought that music would ever basically stop in its tracks, and not
Yeah, man.
musicians aren't able to go do what they've only known to do.
Oh, dude, I would have never thought in my lifetime that I would have to go 8 months without playing a concert under anybody's conditions other than my own. Um, unless it was an extended break or something that we were taking just to relax. You know, and it's been difficult, but you have to find positivity in every situation. And for me, you know, I'm almost to the school line now to pick him up, and it's been being able to take my kid to school and bring him home and watch him grow up. I mean, dude, he turned 8 years old October 11th, and I've been home for 8 months, just over 8 months right now, and this is the longest span of time we've ever had together since he was born. Um, so that's been absolutely amazing. I got some family members that aren't in great health, and being able to be with them has been amazing as well. But still, we're still craving that normalcy. I mean, I've only known one kind of way of life for the last 15, 16 years, and to the unforeseeable future, that's completely gone. And I mean, we got a couple shows coming up that are socially distanced, and we got one coming up this weekend that's a socially distanced pod style concert. And then we've got one coming up a couple weeks from now that is it's a drive-in style concert. And who knows what those are going to be like, man? But at least it's something to do, and some little, however small, piece of a normal life, and back to who we are that we can grab, and I'm going to hold on to it for dear life, man.
Oh, absolutely. Now, were you guys, I know you guys spent some time recording this album. We're going to get to that in just a few minutes, but have you guys done any type of live stream events?
We haven't aired anything yet. We did film a concert a couple days ago. That is why my voice sounds like it does now. um, but it was the first time we had got to play together in 8 months, man. Because when we did the record, we multi-tracked everything and tracked individually. But man, getting to play music for the first time in 8 months for those dudes was absolutely unreal. But we filmed a show that we are going to broadcast the day the record comes out.
Yeah, and that's October 30th. It's called The Human Condition, and tell us about it. I mean, I'm hearing that you guys started recording it during the when the pandemic actually started to kind of plummet the world, right?
Man, we went in at the end of February, and like it wasn't really a major breaking thing until what was it, end of March, really, when it kind of took hold of everything. So we were in the studio as it's starting to unfold, and we're starting to see, and we're like, man, I wonder what touring's going to be like. And then towards the end of March, we start getting all the cancellations, and we're like, all right, here we go. Something is obviously, this is bigger than we know, and it was weird, man. But I think that uncertainty and everything lent its hand to the record, um, and in a way that contributed something that I think would not have been there otherwise.
And you mentioned that you guys tracked it. What was it like as lockdown orders went into effect? I mean, did you guys have it finished by then, or were you guys just kind of going one at a time, or just a minimal crew?
Well, essentially, the way the guidelines were in Kentucky, and we made it through the entire record this way. The the closest we got was when they had limiting groups to 10 people or less. Um, but there were six of us in the studio, so there was the four of us in the band. Jordan Westfall, who engineered, executive produced, and mixed the record, and then Mark Owens, who was drum tech and studio tech and second engineer. Um, those were the people that were there every single day. And then, we had our techs that were there in the beginning. But man, it was just the six of us. We all knew where we were going, staying every day. Everybody was, doing the best they could with the guidelines. And we kept on tracking, man, through it and finished up what little bit we had to. And then Jordan had to go home, back to Missouri. And I remember talking to him on the way home, and he was like, "Man, it's like a zombie movie. He's like, there's nobody on the interstates."
Man, that gives me chills. I'm from Missouri, so I know what that what it should look
Yeah,
like too. You know,
yeah,
um,
dude. You got to think he was traveling from Bowling Green, Kentucky, over to St. Louis.
yeah,
Um,
it's about where
you
I'm
know,
from. Yeah,
and because I think he was St. Charles, that area.
yeah, yeah. It's a little yeah, a little kind of west of St. Louis there. Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Um, and that's not a fun drive. I mean, I've done that drive. It's
yeah,
not
man.
fun. What is it? 24 there, and
Yep.
it's usually just packed. I mean, I used to go to Nashville from St. Louis, and it was just packed with cars. So I can only imagine feeling like
Oh
that.
yeah, dude. I mean, I guess the weird thing for me, man, was like my wife asked me to go to the store with her, when we got out of the studio, just to help her, with some of the heavier stuff. So I went, and we would go to get stuff, and she told me, she goes, "Before you go in here, understand that this isn't like, because the groceries we have around here are basically Walmarts. I mean,
Right.
those are the biggest grocery stores around where we're at, and we got to drive 20 miles to get to one of them.
Wow.
So so we drove to Walmart, and we get in, and she's like, "It's not gonna be what you're used to." And I remember just stuff being so empty, man. And I'm like, why are people hoarding this stuff when I I don't know.
Hmm.
It was kind of sad to see humanity just let go of their complete regard for each other. It was just kind of like,
Oh yeah.
screw you, I got mine, man.
Oh
Like,
yeah. I mean, I don't know if it. I'm sure it was everywhere out here. I mean,
oh,
you couldn't find toilet paper, paper towels, anything essential. It was
same thing,
gone.
dude. Same thing. I
Yeah.
remember we had John had bought like one of the big 48 roll things of toilet paper for the studio. Because like when you got a studio, you just stock stuff every now and then.
Sure.
And I remember he had one of those. He's like, "Man, if anybody needs anything, just go in there and grab some." And I was like, "Dude, thank you."
Yeah. Right.
Um, but no, dude, it got really, really weird for a long time, and it it's unfortunate, man, because the world is full of brilliant, amazing people. Like, we can do better than what we've been doing on all fronts.
Absolutely. And is that where the title comes from, the human condition, just based on your experiences through this weird pandemic?
Man, that title came from our bass player John. We were listening back through some of the tracks one day before getting started on another one, and we were talking about the songs, and John said, "Man, it's just like the human condition. There's a song for every aspect of life on this record." And we all kind of turned around and were like, "Well, there's the album title." He said, "What do you
Nice.
mean?" We said, "The human condition. That's the album title." And it just stuck. It seemed to encompass the record perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell us about some of the songs on it. I mean, you guys are just hardcore Southern rock. It's great music because I like everything that's real and nothing that's like computerized, so to speak,
Right.
with, loops and all that. That's just not my taste. I grew up with, hardcore, well, Southern rock, classic rock, 90s country, where it was all real people playing real instruments.
Oh yeah.
What just some of the songs on there, like what are some of the ones that maybe stand out more than others, and what does it feel like to release, I'll say, real music where so much of it's fabricated?
Man, for me, good music is good music. I personally, I don't mind if it was made on a computer or on a 2-inch tape machine. As long as the emotion comes across in the performance, and it comes across, then I'm okay with whatever. I mean, my iPod it is wild the things you go through on there, but um, man, like who we are. Like, there's always been a little bit of, like, we've used sampling and stuff before, but we've never made it in the forefront of a song. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Right.
Just to additive here and there. But I don't know, man. Guitars, bass, drums, and vocals is what we've always done. I mean, we don't really know how to do anything else. We can add stuff in here and there, but at the heart of it, what we do is the organic thing, you know. And we tried to do it this time with a more modern approach to get a more sonic, you know, modern sonic record.
You guys said you tracked it. Is that something you guys enjoy doing, or do you guys like actually playing together and then kind of, layering? Do you guys have a preference with that?
Typically in the past, we've all played together, been layered stuff, um, you know. But what I liked about this style of recording that we did this time was laying down a scratch track for John Fred to play to. You know, because a lot of times in modern rock, the drums are the last thing put on the record. Um, but we didn't want to do that. We wanted to build from the drums, but we wanted to give John Fred, you know, the uninterrupted attention to his parts and his performances that every other instrument had always gotten, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So what we did is we built these scratch tracks. You know, I would play my parts to kind of a loose metronome that was shakers and tambourines, and then a cowbell kind of in the back for the one, you know. But the metronome was really more of a shaker tambourine feel, kind of like a percussionist, just keeping you in time.
Uh-huh.
So we would do guitar tracks. I would do a guitar, Ben would do a guitar, John would do bass, and we'd do a scratch vocal. Um, and then John Fred would go in and lay down the drums. And what it allowed us to do was it allowed John Fred to hone in on parts and us to double check things with him. You know, like when we're doing vocals, everybody's in there listening. Um, but with this record, the way we approached the recording process of it, everybody was in there, you know, full hands on, full ideas on every single aspect of this record.
Yeah. That's great when it's a collaborative effort like that, and that's news to me. I'm a musician, a drummer myself, so to hear that the drums are
Nice.
laid last, I mean, that's interesting because usually there's a bassist or a guitarist kind of playing along with them to get that going and to play along with like some scratch tracks. That's pretty interesting, and then to build from
Yeah,
there.
man. Dude, it blew my mind. But we were talking to our engineer, and he was like, "Yeah, he's like most modern records, you know, the drummer's playing to a full finished track without drums." And I was like, "Whoa!"
I,
I
I
love I love the idea of that because the drummer's playing to a perfect track,
right.
right? But there's also no room for working guitar parts around drums if you do that, and
Mm-hmm.
we do that a lot. Like John Fred is an insane drummer, man, and some of the licks he does, we'll do guitar, you know, runs with him. And that was why we wanted to do the scratch tracks. That way he had a good drive and a good, you know, a good amount of energy to play to, um, that weren't completely solidified. So if we wanted to change something, we could change it right there on the spot, and then we could all go right back to focusing in on, are the drums complementing the song, are the guitars complementing the drums? You know what I
Right.
mean? And it just allowed us to really dissect every instrument this time, man.
No, that's great. I've heard parts of the album already, and I'm really digging it. Are there any? And I'm not asking you to pick a song because I know they're all your babies, but are there any that stand out more that you're excited about than maybe some of the other ones that will need to be discovered a little more?
Man, I'm excited for people to hear Push Down and Turn. That song is probably the heaviest song on the record, and lyrically, it's a very, very deep song. Um, you know, it addresses mental health head on, and you know, I'm an outspoken person about mental health, and especially men's mental health, because there's such an awful stigma around it all, man. Um, you know, and I I am a person who suffers. You know, I am a manic depressive who also suffers from severe anxiety and somehow manages to be the front man of a rock and roll band. I don't know how it all works, but you know, man, I've gone to a doctor now and taken medication for the last 10 years, but it's allowed me to get back to living a better life than I was before seeking help. You know,
Yeah.
and that song is not saying everybody take pills, go to a doctor, but it is saying, you know, here's what worked for me. Find what works for you to find your happiness. Is essentially the whole meaning behind that song. You know, find what works for you to find your happiness. You know, for what it's worth, for me, it was opening up to a doctor.
Yeah, I think that's very important too. I suffer from anxiety too, and it's tough to do anything sometimes. Interviews,
Dude, it's
playing music, going out, it's
dude,
definitely
I
tough.
have days, you know, being manic depressive, man, it's either great or it's not, you know.
Right.
And there's days you wake up, man, and like the minute you wake up, it just something feels off. And you know, but even with medication, yeah, I still have those days. But I try to find ways to keep myself doing something to keep moving and to keep my mind from wandering to the places that I don't like it to.
Yeah, totally. And rock and roll helps with that, or all styles of music, really. Any type of music.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, dude, music is has been my saving grace my entire life. I mean, where music's always there. I mean, it has never let me down.
And it never will, even though you can't perform like you're used to, and people can't
Yeah,
attend concerts like they're used to. The music is still there.
exactly.
And this album comes out October 30th, and
Yes, sir.
it's available on a red transparent vinyl and a CD box set and digital. So yeah, that's something for fans to look forward to. But before I let you go, Chris, I just had a question for you. Were you inspired by Eddie Van Halen?
Absolutely. You know, I've never spoken about Eddie much when I do interviews because you know I always mention Skinner and Hendrix because I've got tattoos of those bands. You know, or I've always been outspoken about those. But I can without a doubt say that without Eddie Van Halen, I don't think I would have ever leapt into lead guitar like I did because listening to Van Halen one, you got a guy that goes from Eruption, which is just a master class, and he rewrote, you know, aggressive electric guitar for well over 2 decades with that single performance. Um, and it's so over the top. But then at the same exact time, on that same exact record, you listen to Ain't Talking About Love, and it's one of the most simple solos you'll ever hear, but it served the song so well. And what it taught me was you didn't have to do all of it all the time, you know. It taught me that there are different, you know, parts that speak totally differently in each song. And because he could have easily blistered, you know, a master class solo in Ain't Talking About Love, but he chose to play that melody line instead, man. And that melody line inspired me to learn lead guitar, you know. So I'm forever grateful for that.
Yeah. Did you ever get to meet him?
I did not, man. I never got to meet Eddie or see him perform live,
Mm.
which you know, it's beginning to be entirely too many artists that I say that about, you know. But generally, I'm on tour at the same time they are, so it's
Yeah.
not always easy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Chris, it was an absolute pleasure chatting. Did you have anything else you would like to add before we wrap things up?
Man, just thanks for the chat, and I hope everyone checks out the record, and I hope they truly enjoy the record because we worked really hard on it, and we're just excited for people to hear it, man.
Well, Matt, yeah, very thoughtful there about Eddie Van Halen, and rest in peace. Man, there'll never be another guy like him.
No, I thought it was sudden. I didn't realize he had cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I found, probably just from people memorializing him, found a really interesting interview that Neil Schon of Journey had done about having Van Halen as an opening act. And
Yeah.
as fame comes and goes, it's hard to think of like Van Halen having opened for Journey, because I think objectively one is in the pop culture a little bit more than the other now. But yeah, it's crazy to think about the kind of life he led. And he was young, too. I think he was still in his 60s.
He was 65, yeah.
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 Cancer is a bitch. Cancer took Neil Peart the end of last year, and it's taken so many.
No, that was January this year.
That just tells you
I know.
how long this year is.
Two virtuosos just gone. like that. And, it just shows the impact that these people have, the impact that music has. And as Chris said, in this interview, as you heard, that music we all need it,
Sure.
and releasing an album now is probably better than any time because this is all we've got. I mean, there's live streaming and stuff, but there's nothing like having music released weekly. Last week, Luke Combs released a deluxe edition of, What You See Is What You Get with 6 additional songs, including 6 Feet Apart. So it's like, man, music, it's just so therapeutic and we all can relate. We're all going through this tough time together, so we all can relate to how much it brings us together. So it was really, Chris was a blast. He was super sweet and kind and excited that this project's out. So y'all need to go get the Human Connection at digital, and if you still buy physical like me, physical outlets, because you're going to want to add that if you're into that style of music.
Exactly. So that is it for the Music Universe podcast today. I'm Matt.
And I'm Buddy. Thanks for listening. Keep checking out themusicuniverse.com for more, and check out Matt on Weekend Notes on YouTube and IGTV, as well as me on Notable Releases. And check us out on social media. And Brittany Vance hosts IG Live quite often, so check her out as well. Thanks for listening.